Happy Monday, everybody. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend and a good start to the week. My name is Mike Jimenez, and this is the Acquired Taste Network, where we talk sports, pop culture, and nostalgia. I'm in a good mood, fantastic mood, because we're going to have a milestone here at the Acquired Taste. We'll get into that in a moment. Joe Garcia producing today's show. You know, we had a blast yesterday. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out, but we officially became a network yesterday. And I say that because a network means you have multiple shows. The first show being the Acquired Taste. We've been doing this for almost 2 months now. But the Fantasy Gods got going yesterday. Brandon Big Papi Medina was the lead host of the show. I was along for the ride, Joe producing that show as well. It was a great start to that show, man. It was so much fun talking fantasy football. And Brandon Medina does such an amazing job hosting this show. But Joe, I mean, we got a lot of good reaction for that show yesterday.
Yeah, it was a great first show. It was a lot of fun doing the show with you and Brandon. You know, you all guys were just like you never left.
Yeah.
You know, just picked right up.
We had done that show for 2 seasons over at San Antonio Sports Star. And it got dropped for whatever reason. Don't know why, but it just did. And Brandon and I had a fun time doing that show. And it was great coming together yesterday and just talking about, you know, which quarterbacks that might fall. We were talking about Joe Burrow being injured, and what if he misses the first 3 or 4 games of the season? And what do you do as a fantasy owner? Do you take them high? Do you take a flyer in round 4 or 5 and then just hope your backup does well the first few weeks until Burrow comes back? What about certain players like Dalvin Cook, who is typically a top 10 running back, who right now does not have a team? So think about that. He's probably going to play this year, right? He's a top 10 back, but we don't know where he's going to be. And a lot of people have drafts coming up in the next 2 weeks or so. What happens if Dalvin Cook doesn't get a team? Right now, we're taking a look at ESPN.com. Kareem Hunt, who's also a pretty good running back, free agent, does not have a team either, but he's meeting with the New Orleans Saints today because the Saints lost one of their running backs to an injury earlier this weekend. And on top of that, Alvin Kamara suspended 3 games because of an altercation that happened that was caught on video. So there's a lot going on when it comes to this. So the Fantasy Gods, Sundays from 11 a.m. to noon, we're going to provide you all the information you need as to who to start, who to bench, and you can come up to us and ask questions like, hey, who should I start with this particular lineup here, right? We'll teach you about PPR leagues versus non-PPR leagues, snake drafts versus auction league drafts. There's a lot going on when it comes to fantasy football, and Brandon, myself, Joe, we're going to guide you along the way. Again, 11 to 12. Our first show dropped yesterday, right? So we were live. It was fantastic. If you missed it, go to the Acquired Taste YouTube page and just play it, because it's not old. It's not dated at all. You can enjoy it all week long, for crying out loud. Now, the thing is, people were reaching out to us all weekend long asking the question, how do we take part in the fantasy league that you guys are doing? You see, here's the thing. This is a podcast. This is not a radio station. So the rules of the radio station was you can't gamble with the listeners. Okay, those rules don't apply here. Okay, so we're thinking about having a $100 league.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, $100. And if the demand is great enough, have 2 leagues. But we have certain rules. A, you have to subscribe to the Acquired Taste Network, first and foremost. B, you have to be there for the draft. We do not do auto drafts. We don't do any of that nonsense, okay? You've got to be there. And I don't want you to say, oh, well, I can do it by Zoom or FaceTime, or you can give me a call. No. We're going to go to Matt Pecker Brewery. They are one of our sponsors. They're our title sponsor for the Fantasy Gods. We're going to go over there. That's on Tesla and Timber Path. And we're going to have a draft on Sunday, August 20th. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. Lots to get into today, but if you want to take part in this, reach out to me. Either reach out to me on Twitter or on Instagram or Facebook, DM me, whatever the case may be. But again, you have to go to Mad Pecker Brewery to do that. Special thanks again to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee and Bear County Social Apparel for also sponsoring the Fantasy Gods, but we are off and running. And speaking of off and running, we're about to celebrate, Joe, our 2-month anniversary doing this show. What number show is this right now?
I believe this one is 39.
Number 39. So think about that. Number 39. We're coming up on 2 months since we decided to do this podcast. And we're about to become official content creators.
Yeah.
With YouTube.
About what, 150 watch hours away?
That's right. So YouTube says that we're allowed to monetize what we do on YouTube if we have more than 500 subscribers and 3,000 or more viewing hours in a year.
Yeah.
We're less than 2 months in. We checked the numbers this morning. We're at 2,850 viewing hours. So we should cross that either tomorrow or Wednesday. But I know this, come Thursday, Buffalo Trace for you and me over here, because we're going to celebrate the fact that we're going to jump over that 3,000 marker and start to monetize. And thank you so much for all of you who watch this. I know we're live on Facebook and live on Twitter, but really YouTube helps us out the most, okay, because they give us the statistics and they help us when it comes to monetizing this, not only from them, but when it comes to approaching a company. Like I'm going to approach a company this week about sponsoring. They want to know numbers. How many people are watching? How long are they watching for? And YouTube provides us that data.
Yeah, even where they're watching from and how old they are, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, exactly. Again, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, you can chime in, and in real time, we can see your comments coming in. Lots of them already coming in. Tim Gonzalez saying, RIP to the Pac-12 conference.
Yeah,
I pissed off a lot of people this
Force
past
them
weekend.
out.
Yeah, so the Pac-12 lost 8 of its 12 members over the weekend, and
That's
it's
rough.
basically no more.
Yeah, man.
And there were Power 5 conferences when it comes to football, and now it's a Power 4. Well, I mean, this year, the Pac-12 will still exist, right? Same as UT and OU will still play in the Big 12 this year. But come next year, it all changes. The Pac-12 has disintegrated. The Big 12 has assumed so many other schools out there, and a lot of people are excited. They're like, hey, man, I like this new Big 12. I like what's going on. And I couldn't be any more bored by the new members of this conference.
Oh, man.
I mean, think about it. Think about it. Who did the Big 12 lose? The Big 12's losing the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns, the two biggest names in college football that are in the Big 12.
The Red River rivalry is no more on the Pac-12.
Exactly. And you take a look at like who the Big 12 is assuming, the new members coming in. Now, one of them is an old member. And I told somebody on Twitter this, that if Colorado comes in and becomes a powerhouse because of Deion Sanders and that name.
Primetime Deion Sanders.
Exactly. Get prime time.
Yeah.
As part of it all. But the Big 12 announced that they have new members over the weekend. They announced that Arizona State, and Utah have joined.
Oh, God, man. Does that bring excitement to
you?
you?
I know. And everyone's like, well, they've got like 16 or 14 really good teams. I'm like, no, they don't. Who's the powerhouse? Who's the powerhouse?
It's all going to be about OU, UT, you know, the big names.
They're gone.
No, but
A&M is gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Big 12 just does absolutely nothing for me. And people getting all pissed off. Texas Tech fan, Brandon Medina, our guy, host of the Fantasy Gods. He's a Texas Tech guy. And I know there's a lot of Texas Tech fans out there, but guess what? You guys aren't sexy, dude.
Guns up. Hey, man, you better watch out. Wesley Perkins.
No one gives a crap.
Wesley Perkins going to come for you.
No one gives a crap. And they're like, well, TCU was in the national championship game last year. TCU, I made this argument before.
Oh, man, that's Mike Taylor's team.
And Taylor got pissed at me one time. Taylor's been nice to me, right? But the one time he got pissed at me was that I mentioned on Twitter and on my old show that TCU has the 9th biggest fan base in Texas. I can name 8 other schools that have a bigger fan base than TCU.
You better not say SMU.
No, but they're parallel.
Yeah, they're
parallel to them. I mean, Texas is bigger. A&M is bigger. You know, UTSA has a bigger fan base than TCU, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And it's not exciting what's going on over the Utah. I'm going to get excited about Utah. Nothing says Big 12 like Arizona and Arizona State. Yeah. Colorado, I understand because there's some history. It's like the ex-girlfriend coming back going, I kind of want to, you know, the grass wasn't greener on the other side.
Let's chat. You know, that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Let's chat.
Yeah. Can I get a Facebook friend request? That's basically what it is. And as the Big 12 expands, and people are like, well, we're going to be a really good basketball league. Who gives a crap if it's a good basketball league? Okay, here's the Big 12. West Virginia, sexiness level, right? Let's go that on a 1 level, that's somebody that is ugly, and a 10 level, we're talking about Kate Upton, right? We're talking about Ana de Armas level of attractiveness.
We're talking about Lily from AT&T.
Lily, AT&T Lily, right? BB Rexa, the sexiness of, do I want to watch this team? Okay, when it comes to football, because who gives a crap about basketball? No one cares until the end of February anyway, okay? But in football, from week 1, beginning of September, all the way through the bowl season, second week of January, everybody cares. So the Big 12 now consists of West Virginia. What's the sexiness level? 1 through 10. What is that, 2?
Yeah, man. They don't do nothing for you.
TCU made the national championship. The sexiness level of TCU is a 3, dude. Okay? If that was a woman at the bar, I need to have 8 shots before I want to go approach it.
Before you even buy her a drink?
Yes. Texas Tech, that's a 5. They put up a lot of numbers. They've never had a defense. They're annoying as F to watch because it's like, which team's going to win? 51-48. Baylor. Bore me to tears. Oklahoma State is probably one of the sexy ones. We'll give that one a 7. Give that one a 7.
They're a fun team to watch.
And then we've got Kansas. Oh goodness. With those unis, come on, man. Utah, come on. Iowa State, come on. Arizona State, come on. Man, Arizona, come on. Cincinnati, come on. BYU, come on. UCF, come on. And people are trying to tell me that the Big 12 is back, baby. Big 12 is back, baby. This is a pack, okay? If this was a pack of girls in Vegas, it's a pack of 12 girls or 14 girls that are all unattractive walking the streets.
You always got the one that's hot in the whole bunch.
Okay, you got 2 cute ones. Okay, you've got K-State and Oklahoma State, and then you've got like the late bloomer in Colorado.
And you got the big one too.
And then the rest of them are all big ones, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, all looking awful, and you're going to get all excited about this.
And the majority of these teams that play, they're not going to be on the primetime, channels.
These are all,
they're not going to be on ESPN.
Well, they might be, but they'll
Maybe
be on
at
it
2
at 11 a.m. There's no primetime game. The only primetime game you're going to have out of this is going to be anything Colorado related. Yeah. And then Josh Jimenez reaches out to us, no relation, at least that I'm aware of. Don't sleep on Cincinnati or TCU in the Big 12. They will get college football playoff berths from them. Why? It's not going to be a power conference. Dude, the Big 12 and the AAC, where UTSA now resides, are equals to each other.
Oh, God, man. Jonathan C's got me dying over
Big
here.
girls need love, too. They just got to pay. That's a Quagmire quote from Family Guy. I know where he got that from.
Yep.
Giggity. So this wasn't even part of the rundown. But the fact that this is how you can be part of this show, I wasn't going to even talk about this. But, man, I look at the new AAC, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, they may have lost members. But it's just as attractive as this. Right now, to me, it's the SEC is the gold standard, number 1. Number 2 is the Big 10 because they pillaged the Pac-12. They got the good members. Yeah. It's like, yeah, the Big 12 got some members, but they didn't get the good ones. They didn't get the UCLA. They didn't get USC. They went to the Big 10.
How is the money going to be affected, by some of the bigger names leaving now? What's going to happen with their TV deals and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah. And they're slicing the pie right now. And the Pac-12, that's the reason why he disintegrated. So they couldn't figure it out necessarily. But you take a look at the Big 10, who's coming on in? Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC. If you had asked the Big 12, rank the teams that you would want to pull from the Pac-12, their top 4 would have been USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. They didn't get any of them. So you've got the SEC and the Big 10 as the 2 big dogs. You've got the ACC, which has Clemson and Florida State. That's sexy, okay? The rest of the conference sucks because you have Eastern Carolina Pirates and you've got all that crap. But at least you've got Clemson. To me, It's Power 2. You've got ACC as like the tier 2, and then you've got the Big 12 and the AAC right behind it. And don't give me this crap about just because it's called Big 12 that it really matters. And I don't want to hear this crap about, well, in basketball, who gives a crap about in basketball? Dude, the Big East is big in basketball. Doesn't do anything in football. And because it doesn't do anything in football, nobody cares about Syracuse. No one cares about Georgetown. No one cares about these schools, UConn. Goodness, man.
Unless they're playing a big school, then you care.
Dude,
just to watch.
People trying to doll up this turd that's the Big 12 to get me excited about Texas Tech. Dude, when Texas Tech is your most exciting school in the conference, that's not a good conference. I miss the old days, Southwest Conference. I miss Texas with Texas A&M and Oklahoma and Arkansas and Colorado. I miss the old Southwest Conference. But right now, you've seen these conferences kind of steal from others, and the SEC is now so huge, and now the Big Ten is so huge. Maybe it's good for football. I don't know. But people reminded me that ECU is in the American Conference. Okay, and what I'm trying to show is that they're actual equals to each other. So equal that no one knows. No one cares. As John reaches out to us and says, Texas and OU made the Big 12 relevant. And with both of them gone after this season, they're now irrelevant. And what happens now to the Alamo Bowl?
Damn, that's a good question,
The
man.
Alamo Bowl had a Pac-12 participant. It had gotten to be a very, very good bowl game. I hope that the Alamo Bowl does not suffer because of this.
Yeah.
I hope they don't have to get the Big Ten's 7th best school, or the Big 12's 7th best school.
Yeah, they just finished hosting UT not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Alamo Bowl does a fantastic job. All those guys over there doing amazing work. But man, lots going on in college football. This was not even part of the rundown.
Yeah.
Wiki coming out saying, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Texas Tech fans really hate UTSA fans for some reason. I think it's because Texas Tech fans actually had some T-shirt fans here in San Antonio. And UTSA is suddenly becoming a thing here in San Antonio.
It's a sexy team now.
Moving on from the Conference USA to the AAC is a big deal. It is a big deal. And the fact that UTSA is going to play some SEC opponents. They played Texas last year. They have A&M in upcoming years, Texas again in upcoming years. They've got Tennessee this year, an SEC school on the road. They had LSU on the calendar as well. I think they have them in 2027, if I'm not mistaken. So you see what's going on with UTSA. It's sexy. But I know that San Antonio has more UT Longhorn fans.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Because UT Longhorns are a tradition here in San Antonio. But 20 years from now, that's not going to be a thing. 20 years from now, this is going to be a UTSA city where UTSA fans will outnumber UT fans. It's just going to take time. But I think that 1 and 1A is a lot closer than before. I believe there are more UTSA football fans here in San Antonio than there are Aggie fans, than there are Texas Tech fans, than there are Baylor Bear fans. UTSA is becoming a legit thing, packing 25 to 35,000 fans at the Dome. Mike Baez from Bear County Social Apparel says birds up. Damn straight. Damn straight. We have a big show today. This has nothing to do with what we're going to be talking about today. Look at that. We're 20 minutes into the show.
And already you're going on a rant.
Already, yes. And we had to text our guest today.
Yeah. I can call her.
She might have jet lag. Okay, we're supposed to have Katie Goodman, our soccer insider, who's back in San Antonio from the U.S. From the World Cup there in Australia. She was over there. Team USA women's national team lost yesterday in penalty kicks. Brutal way to lose. So we're supposed to have her coming on in at about 12:30 or so. Other topics that we're getting into. Did you see that big fight in the major leagues this past weekend between the Guardians and the Chicago White Sox? Are we okay with this? Do we like fighting or punching in sports? Because I found that to be a little bit odd because I was excited about it, but then I also hated myself for liking it. We'll talk about that. You know, the next 3 days might actually determine who wins the AL West between the Rangers and the Astros. We'll explain that. And guess what? The woman who killed Tejano superstar Selena is up for parole in 18 months. And her people, her family say that Yolanda Saldivar wants to get out, that it's time.
And she don't deserve it, man.
Should she be released from prison? We have a poll on that on Twitter. I'm at MJ Acquire Taste. Lots to get into when it comes to today. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. I subscribe not only on YouTube, but I subscribe on Spotify as well. You can follow Jeff Garcia at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter and on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. His guest today on Locked On Spurs, again, it's a daily podcast about the silver and black, although right now it's 3 days a week until the season starts. But today's guest is you, Joe Garcia. What did y'all talk about today?
Oh, man, we talked about a different number of topics, man. I mean, it's going to be, I think, a fun episode.
It was
Let's
a
put it
potpourri.
like that.
It was a buffet line of topics.
Yeah, we're talking about Jeff's and Silver Platter. By the way, we did update the graphic for when he comes back on.
I saw it. I think we'll debut it on Wednesday.
We're going to debut it on Wednesday.
We're
not going
on Wednesday.
Yeah. When he comes in.
It's a thing of beauty.
It was his recommendation, by the way.
It's a thing of beauty.
It was his recommendation. So
again, subscribe to Locked On Spurs. He had a story on early today about Mikolo from Blood In, Blood Out going to be over here in San Antonio signing autographs over at what's that one flea market?
Traders Village.
Traders Village. That's right, on the southwest side. That'd be interesting. I think that's this weekend. Go see some of these people from Blood In, Blood Out. Yeah. I saw that movie for the first time last year.
What did you think?
I gave it an A+. It
was a good movie.
I thought it was a very, very good movie. I thought it held up. And I think people thought that I was kissing their asses on social media because people don't like my reviews. But I gave it like an A or an A+. It was probably, out of the 50 movies that I've reviewed, probably top 5.
Yeah. But to be honest, there was some scenes that were kind of rough, dude.
There were scenes.
Yeah.
But, the whole thing about, choosing a side and all that stuff. Is he Latino enough and all that stuff? It was good. It was a good movie. But wrapping up This Fool right now on Hulu, season 2. God, it's gotten good. It has gotten so good. What a great show that is. Yeah. Chris Estrada does a fantastic job with that show.
Oh, and the topics that we talked about, me and Jeff, we were talking about Wembanyama, and Jeff was saying, comparisons to Giannis, Antetokounmpo, and are the Spurs, America's team? That was a question. Should the Spurs be America's team, like the equivalent of the Dallas Cowboys, how they say that they're America's team?
No, America's team. If there was an America's team in the NBA, it's the Lakers.
Well, Jeff was saying that somebody had recommended that it would be the New York Knicks. I'm like, the Knicks, dude? I would agree with that statement, the Lakers.
The Knicks haven't won anything since 1972. Yeah. Think about that.
That's a long time, dude.
I mean, I'm 46 years old. That's 5 years before I was born.
Circa, that's even before the Ewing era, man.
That was before the Spurs coming on over.
They came over in 74, 75.
They were the Dallas Chaparrals at the time, for crying out loud.
Man.
But anyway, I find this to be very fascinating. Again, follow Locked On Spurs, Jeff Garcia. Now, speaking of the Spurs, Bear County Social Apparel did a fantastic job honoring 5-0, baby.
Oh, yeah. We're going to
take a look at that. David Robinson had a birthday over the weekend. And when I asked you how old he was,
58.
I couldn't believe it.
58.
58. 5-0 is 58 years old. Are you kidding me? This is a great graphic that Bear County Social Apparel had just honoring David Robinson. And David Robinson is not the greatest Spur of all time. That is Tim Duncan. But David Robinson is the most important Spur of all time because I don't think the Spurs would be in San Antonio if it wasn't for David Robinson. And if you think about the fact that David Robinson was drafted in 1987, and the way the rules work, if you sit out for 2 years, you don't have to play for that team that drafted you. You can become a free agent. He had a 2-year naval commitment. So those 2 years were already going to go, and the Spurs drafted him anyway. And the San Antonio Spurs and the city of San Antonio did a fantastic job going after his family and his parents, and just not recruiting David so much, but recruiting the family, saying, come to San Antonio. And David Robinson could live anywhere in the world, but he has chosen to live in San Antonio, and he has roots now here. The Carver Academy on the east side that he has done so much, the church that he goes to on I-10, I believe it's Oak Hills, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's very big in the community still. Last night, I was watching NBA TV, just flipping through the channels, and NBA TV had a game from 1993. It was Spurs Trailblazers. It was a playoff game. The Spurs won that game. Robinson had a triple-double. And you're looking at a David Robinson that's in his mid-20s, mid to late 20s at the time. And my goodness, man, that guy was a gazelle. David Robinson, it was a special, special player.
Speed, athleticism.
Dude,
I mean,
and the muscles on that guy.
The guns, baby, the guns.
So when you talk about Victor Wembanyama and they say that he needs to get bigger, I don't think he needs to get fatter. I just think he needs to be a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
And if you take a look at David Robinson, that might be the template there to hit the weights the way that David Robinson did, because David Robinson wasn't a sculpted god because he was born that way. He had to work into that body. And when I watch Victor Wembanyama play, and you're trying to say, well, who does he remind you of? A lot of people say Kevin Durant. A lot of people say Giannis. A lot of people say I see David Robinson in a weird way, because David Robinson, don't get me wrong, was a center, and Wemby's not a center. But when I say that I see a little bit of David Robinson, it's the fact that no one ran the floor like David Robinson at 7'1". David Robinson ran the floor as though he was a guard.
Yeah.
I mean, he would finish with dunks like crazy. Like what he was able to do on the floor at his size, at his height, was remarkable. And then now you look at Victor Wembanyama, what he can do with handles. No one is 7'3" like he is, that has handles like him, that can handle the rock the way that he does, that has the court vision, that can also run the break as well. Yeah. There's some parallels to David Robinson. I'm not saying that he's 100% David Robinson, but the fact that I think Wemby is maybe 35-40% David Robinson, maybe he's David Robinson when it comes to blocking shots. Maybe he's that guy. So I find this to be interesting because David Robinson, again, happy belated birthday, 58 years old. But it gets me excited about the other phenom that we have in Victor Wembanyama. But again, subscribe to Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 to check out today's episode, which features Joe Garcia talking all things Spurs.
Oh, and we also got to give an honorable mention, shout out, happy birthday here to former Spur, and that would be DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, happy birthday!
We're gonna show DeMar. Because the Spurs, they needed to get somebody, and they needed to kind of right the ship a little bit. After nephew left, right? Demanded a trade. And what did the Spurs get back? They got DeMar DeRozan. And you know what? He could have said, I don't want to go to the Spurs. I don't want to play with them. It's too small time for me. He came in here. He was the utmost professional. Came in, did his job very well, and you can't say enough good things about him while he was here playing for the San Antonio Spurs. So we wish DeMar DeRozan a very happy birthday. He's now, I believe, 34 years of age.
DeMar DeRozan was not a failure here in San Antonio.
Oh, no.
He was a 25-5-5 guy. The question becomes, is DeMar DeRozan the guy that's going to be the number one player on a team?
Yeah.
And I don't think that he is. I think he's a solid number two. But the Spurs were trying to make him the number one guy. And keep in mind, that was a pretty good consolation prize that we got for DeMar DeRozan, for Kawhi Leonard. But when I look at Kawhi Leonard and I look at this trade, it's funny because the Spurs are actually in a pretty good position despite all of those trades, because who did we get for DeMar DeRozan? We got Thad Young, right?
Yeah.
It's like, who is Thad Young? Well, the Spurs flipped him for a first rounder.
And we got Jakob Poeltl.
We got Jakob Poeltl, and Jakob Poeltl got flipped for some picks as well.
Yeah, and I believe because of them, they also got, they drafted, what was it, Keldon Johnson?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And well, the Keldon Johnson was part of the Kawhi trade.
Yeah, Kawhi trade.
Was part of the Kawhi trade. So it's kind of like this trickle-down effect that has been going on with it. And then you take a look at the fact that the Spurs have the Chicago Bulls first-round draft pick in 2025. That's a big deal, too. So the Spurs, I'm not going to say that they won these trades necessarily, but what I'm saying is that we can't say that they've lost them either, because the Spurs have the ability to go back in time and look to see if this was a good thing or not. I mean, that Kawhi trade with Keldon Johnson being part of it, that wasn't considered to be part of the trade, but ultimately it was. Lots of comments coming on.
I like that comment from the Drew Show. Somebody mentioned that the Knicks should be America's team. He says, let me guess. It was one of Moneybags' New York buddies. While they're eating steaks, you know, talking it up.
Dude, that's so funny, man. That's so funny. Chris Gonzalez reaches out and says, all the great Spurs have a purpose for the organization. That's true. That's true. And, you know, it's nice seeing that certain players out there do well for the city of San Antonio, even after they left. We saw that with Lonnie Walker. Yeah. Lonnie Walker is still contributing to San Antonio.
And look at this, man. Weeky 1, he puts. I saw that too yesterday, the game that you're talking about. Love the throwback teal and pink court. Man, they need to bring back that court.
Bring back the court.
Alamo Dome court, man. It was very nice.
That was a nice court. But, man, just going back in time and watching that 1993 team, God, it's been 30 years. And the lineup that I saw out there for that quarter that I watched was David Robinson, Sean Elliott, Antoine Carr,
the big dog,
Willie Anderson, and Avery Johnson. Man, I like the fact that Avery has his jersey up in the rafters. I really do.
Man, who doesn't love Avery's energy and his voice? 5-0, 5-0 screaming.
He was the right point guard for the time, dude.
He was.
He was exactly what the Spurs needed at that very moment. But we're talking sports, pop culture, nostalgia. You know, I got a feeling that our guest today has jet lag.
I think so too, man. I think she's asleep, dude. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh no, and I'm not gonna give her crap about it. I reached out to her yesterday. Katie Goodman was supposed to be on, but you know, we can talk about things without her. That's not that big of a deal. Katie Goodman, coming back from Australia, has not acclimated herself to it all, right? Jet lag is real, baby. The jet lag is real. So to her, it might be noon to us right now, but to her, it's probably 3 a.m, for crying out loud. Let's talk about that fight from this past weekend, by the way. Cleveland Guardians taking on the Chicago White Sox on Saturday night. Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson squaring up against each other. Oh, we got to show that video real fast, man, because that video is epic.
Jeez, dude. If you missed an MMA fight, don't worry, man. We got you.
Yeah, didn't Jake Paul fight this weekend?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, he came in his introduction on a freaking tank, bro.
Jake Paul.
That's stupid, dude.
Dude, you can't pay me to watch any of that crap, dude.
I just saw that because they posted it on social media. I'm not paying for that damn fight.
No, dude. The weekend before, when we had the fights and the and Poirier and with all that going on.
Oh yeah, the good fights.
The good fights, right? Jake Paul. You want me to watch that crap and talk about it? Hell no. Watching some YouTuber go out there and fight. Come on, man.
They're exhibition fights. They don't even count for anything.
Like the next one that's going to come out is what? Elon Musk against
Mark Zuckerberg. He's going to get trounced, dude. Zuckerberg, he actually trains to be an MMA fighter, man.
No, I get that. But Elon Musk is probably 70 pounds heavier.
Have you seen his physique, though? He's so weird, dude.
Like Musk Musk looks like a Lego man.
Yeah, dude, he looks weird, man.
So we're showing video of the fight right now, what went down on Saturday night. Jose Ramirez slid between the legs of Tim Anderson, right? Words were exchanged. I don't know if Ramirez was upset by the fact that Anderson was hovering above him, maybe a half beat too long. But they started exchanging words, and they got up, right? And the weird thing is that you see Anderson kind of square up. And the way that Anderson squared up, I thought to myself, man, this guy knows how to fight.
It's an old school square up, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, man.
So then what ends up happening is Ramirez just goes in there, and Ramirez is being held back by a player. Think about that. He's being held back by a player and still manages to fire off a right-hand hook and just boom, connect. One punch, knockout. Woo!
Yeah,
the bench is cleared, and then also there was a second fight. There was a scuffle, a skirmish involving a coach. Several people were ejected from this game. And you take a look at Ramirez. How long is he going to be suspended? Because the last time there was a clear punch that hit somebody, It was an 8-game suspension. It got appealed and got reduced down to 7 games. I got a feeling it's going to be longer than 8, though.
Oh man.
Okay, because this was a clear shot, man.
This was more probably one of the best baseball fights we're going to see this season.
And you know that the guy that got hit, Tim Anderson, had to have thought to himself, he's being held back.
Ain't no way he's going to get me.
Because that's what fights are these days, right? I mean, you go to a bar sometimes and there's like a little bit of a tussle. And usually it's don't hold me back. Don't hold me back. Don't hold me back.
Yeah.
And it's just chest bumping the entire time. Because, I mean, the odds of a fight really breaking out are very, very remote.
Man, I used to tell people, man, like me and my boys would go out, clubs, bar hopping in our younger years. And somebody would try to square up and they're holding them back. I'd say, let him go. He ain't going to do nothing.
He ain't gonna do anything.
Let him go. Let him go.
He ain't going to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, though, man. He kind of got held up. But the thing is, do we give him credit for that punch? Because if we're looking at it, he wasn't looking, dude. It was a blind punch.
Sucks.
It was a blind punch. There was nothing there that was
there we go, man.
Legit. It was blind, man. It was a blind haymaker.
He had his head down, dude, and he was just throwing punches. Yeah, man.
He was doing rock'em sock'em robots. So let me ask you this: when it comes to fighting in sports, are you okay with it?
I mean, this is the thing, dude. You're gonna have people out there on the field, on the court, wherever, and they're very competitive, right?
Yeah.
And if you've ever played sports, like organized sports, and you're out there playing against opposing teams and all that, it gets heated sometimes, man. Because you want to win, and it's a kind of like that machismo thing.
Well, let's think about like all the sports, right? When you close your eyes, you think about a basketball fight. The thing I think of is Malice at the Palace, right? Yeah. And I think about what happened also with the Pistons and the Bulls and the Knicks back in the day, when they would fight back when it was really rough to play in the NBA. That got cleaned up for the most part. On top of that, when it comes to like football, we see some skirmishes sometimes, but it's really a lot of nothing, dude. It's really just a lot of machismo out there, right? And then you go back to like hockey. Hockey is where it's stupid, man. Hockey is when it's like they get so excited about it, the crowd gets into it, but it seems so stupid where they drop their gloves and then they fist fight with each other while on skates, and people get all excited. I'm not excited. And the one puts their jersey over the other, and it's so stupid. It is all so stupid, okay? Baseball, though, I hadn't seen a punch land like this since Nolan Ryan went to Robin Ventura and just corralled him and like hit him like 10 times on the head. Goodness, man. Chris Gonzalez did the exact same thing. It was the day after the 30-year anniversary of Nolan Ryan hitting Robin Ventura. Great minds think alike.
This is the comment right here, man.
Joe Gonzalez reaching out. Anderson out there looking like Glass Joe got folded. Dude, one shot, dude. Boom. I would like to think that I can survive one shot.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably could.
I had a friend of mine tell me one time that I was deceptively intimidating because I was at some bar one time, and this was recent. This was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I think we might have been in Vegas or someplace, and some guy was giving my friend some crap, and I didn't realize it, and I just walked up and was like, "Hey, everything okay?" And the guy who was apparently jawing at my friend goes, "No, things are good," and like walked away. And my friend said, "You're intimidating." I'm like, "Me? I'm an indoor dog. I'm intimidating?" But apparently the fact that I am built like a bowling ball, I'm built like a linebacker, man. Just apparently I intimidate people. I don't get it. Okay, because I'm like the nicest guy in the world. But fantastic. Hey, this could be also, speaking about baseball, could be a huge next 72 hours for the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros, because the Rangers right now are riding a 6-game winning streak, opened up a 2.5-game lead over the Astros in the AL West after sweeping both the White Sox and the Marlins. The Rangers have a 3-game lead over the Astros when it comes to the loss column, but now why is it so pivotal right now? I know there's about 49 games left, but right now this is an important week for the Astros and Rangers, because the Rangers, not only on a 6-game winning streak, are now heading to Oakland to play the worst team in the American League. Maybe pick up wins 7, 8, and 9 in a row. And on top of that, the Astros are now on the road against the Orioles. Baltimore has the best record in the American League right now. So can you imagine that? Let's say the Rangers do sweep the A's like they should. And let's say that the Astros lose 2 of the next 3 games. They're on the road. They're going to be favored to lose these games. What happens at that point? What happens if the Rangers open up a 4.5 game lead? That's a big deal.
Yeah, we got Katie on standby now.
Our girl is here. Katie Goodman, back from Australia, jet lag and everything. How are you doing, Katie?
Hey, before we bring her on, though, we got to play her intro. Man.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm so
Without
sorry.
further ado,
Without
you're messing the flow up.
Here we go. Bring it, baby. Bring it. We put all those flags in the background.
Everything.
Because she's the world traveler right there. Back from Australia.
Amazing. That is amazing. I love it. I love it.
So
well done.
She is back from the Women's World Cup there in Australia. Oh my goodness, man. Yesterday's match between Sweden and Team USA was brutal. On a scale of 1 through 10, about it being a gut punch, what was it, Katie?
It was like an 11. it had me yelling F-bombs at 6 in the morning, standing on top of my bed, just yelling.
We're on a podcast. You can say
everyone up in the house. What happened? The U.S. Women's National Team, they're out.
Were there tears shed, Katie? Were there tears shed?
Definitely. There was some sulking. You know, I like to think that this summer was my Barbie era. Now I'm in Wednesday Addams era.
nice.
I'm mourning and I'm angry.
So let me tell you, that match started super early in San Antonio time, right?
It was 4 a.m.
4 a.m., right? So what ended up happening was I woke up earlier than normal on Saturday, and I just kind of grabbed the remote and I turned it on. And the first thing I see is they're lining up for penalty kicks. And at that point, I just was like, what? And I stood up and I'm watching this because I didn't watch the first, 2 halves. I didn't watch any of it. I'm like, oh my God, I caught this at the perfect time. And then when you see the fact that US gets a couple of stops and it's just nailed this last one, just nailed this one and it's over. You knock out the number 3 team in the world and it just sailed on her. And at that point, I realized it was over because you saw the team all lined up and they're already running, ready to celebrate. And it's just air let out of the balloon at that point.
Yeah.
That was tough for Rapinoe, though, I got to say. She doesn't usually miss, and she missed that penalty kick.
You know, I feel like that's the funk they've been in this whole time. I feel like that entire PK shootout is very indicative of them this entire tournament. I feel like they've not been able to really get their rhythm together. And Pino herself has been in a huge funk. Everybody talks about her touch and her services and whatever, but like there's so much more to a player than their physical ability. You know, yeah, she's kind of sat out for a while, but that a player of her caliber, you can sit out for a year and you can come back and still have your touch. You know, I sat out for how long and I still had my touch. I think she's going through something personal is what I think. Just because even after that first game, you saw her, she had a missed touch, she like missed like a pretty open shot or something. And like, sorry, I'm still the times up is throwing me off, guys. This is like my wake up time over there in Australia. But what I'm trying to say is after that first game, she missed the shot and her whole demeanor, her whole energy changed, where she's usually one of those players who starts smiling and bounces back and is goofy. And like, that's kind of her MO, but it just looked like there's a little storm cloud over her. And I saw that with her the entire tournament. I don't think she, excuse me, I don't think she ever bounced back.
I love all of this.
I don't think I'm working through the yawning here. Okay. I'm doing my best, but I don't think she ever bounced back is what I'm trying to say. So when she walked up to that PK, I don't know what it was inside me. I knew she was going to miss it. I'm like, she's going to shank it. And she did.
And that was the thing, you take a look at that, the missed opportunities that were there in the shootout there. Sweden didn't stop any of the goals or any of the attempts they all sailed or hit the post.
Yeah.
So it was missed, not so much defended.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think where we lost the game was in that first half, not scoring a goal. We had all the momentum. We dominated completely, tons of shots on goal, and we just didn't put it away. By the second half, Sweden woke up a little bit, and that was a much better, I would say a more even half for us, or for them rather. And so that in that second half, my thoughts at first, I thought in the first half a goal was imminent because we had all the momentum. We came out strong. We came out strong. There's nothing I can do, guys. I'm sorry. You just have to work with my yawning here.
Katie, they're saying that you need the Wemby drink from Mudslingers. It's a little kick of energy in it.
Yeah, the Red Bull.
Yeah.
I'm dying a slow death over here. And these U.S. women had me up at 4 a.m., so they weren't helping my sleep pattern at all.
Joined by Katie Goodman, our world traveler, our soccer insider, talking about the U.S. women's national team, Rapinoe and all that. I mean, I kind of feel like there was beyond the normal pressure, because you would think that everybody would be cheering for Team USA, but that wasn't the case when it came to that team, because politics got in the way when it came to it all. And it's so ugly the way that all happens. You would think that, if you're representing the country, whether it be at the Olympics or the World Cup, that people would be at your side. But a lot of people cheered the fact that the U.S. women's national team lost.
Yeah, and that says so much about their own character, to be cheering about someone losing, and to kick someone while they're down. I think people just need to look at themselves a little bit. And I think they're going to look back on these posts or whatever and realize it didn't age well, because they all sound like a bunch of toddlers pointing fingers. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard and seen. It's so dumb that it doesn't even merit a retweet or starting crap about it. That's how dumb it is. These people are ignorant. They're just purely ignorant, because human rights now has to be politics. And because it has to be politics, people have to speak up for it and use their platform. And that's the thing about Pino. She may not have gone out really well in the way that she wanted to, but her career is so much more than that. She's going to go on to do big things. You're going to see her in the media. You're going to see her, you're going to see her do all kinds of incredible, amazing things.
A yawnometer, that's number 3.
I know. Every time
4.
Katie yawns, we take a shot.
Yeah. That sounds like a great game. I could probably use a shot right now. Maybe that'll wake me up, or maybe it'll put me right back to bed. Who knows?
We can talk about soccer, right? Or we can talk about the fact that maybe she's not tired from the jet lag of Australia. Maybe it was the time spent in Hawaii on the way back. Okay, so
that beach looked beautiful. The water looked great.
That beach was incredible. That was like paradise. I didn't want to leave. And on looking back on it, I should not have left. I should have pushed my flight back and took a direct back to San Antonio, because I ended up spending 20 hours in the LA airport. What happened was I had a red-eye flight leaving Hawaii, and which was supposed to have me land there at 5 a.m. To catch my flight at 9:30 a.m. But instead it landed there at 8:30. And then my bags took forever, and I just couldn't get them in time to get to my next flight, because I booked 2 separate bookings because it was cheaper. Yeah. Well, it ended up being not cheaper at all, because I had to book a whole new one-way flight that same day, which also got delayed from 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. So I was 12 hours. I was there a whole 12 hours in the LA airport. And if I'd known it was going to be pushed back, I would have gone out and done something. But I was just, it kept getting pushed and then pushed and then pushed. So anyway, I'm over flying for a very long time. That was, I think, the most time I've ever spent traveling back to my home destination ever, because the flight from Australia to Hawaii was 10 hours. Then I had a 9-hour layover in Hawaii. And then from Hawaii to LA was 5 hours, which was pushed back. And then another 12 hours in the airport. And then another 3.5 hours to get home.
Oh,
so
that's
long. Yeah.
But
at least I got a day in Hawaii. I cannot complain at all. I really can't.
Excuse the yawns when it comes to it. But we're talking to Katie Goodman, who shadowed FS1 while at the Women's World Cup in Australia. Tell us what that was all like. What did you learn? Did you rub elbows with the right people? What went down over there in Australia?
Yeah, I met a lot of incredible people. I got to see the inner workings of both a linear broadcast and a digital broadcast, from production meetings all the way to that's number five, from production meetings all the way to like the show itself. I learned a lot from the talent. They were so helpful in just disclosing a lot of, information about, how, to host a certain way or to be a certain way, how to keep your energy up, energy levels. I got to talk to Carly Lloyd. In fact, I actually interviewed her, so I'll be dropping that interview today. Just
Nice.
a quick
Oh,
little
nice.
interview. Her and Ariane Hinks, the German woman who's been on the broadcast as well that you've seen. And then Jimmy Conrad, who hosts the digital show, and Melissa Ortiz, who also is one of the co-hosts of the digital show. We did that one in English and Spanish with her because she's a Latina, and so that's a very important discussion there. But she, all of them were so helpful and so kind, and taking time to just entertain someone like me who was there to learn and absorb. I think the biggest learning experience was just seeing the talent in their element and how they take information in at, say, a production meeting, and how they execute, or how they keep the flow of conversation going, things like that. Those are the kind of things I was there to learn and observe. And then, during their downtime, what are they doing? Are they expending all their energy, or are they saving it? And they're saving it, so stuff like that you learn, that's very important.
Very nice talking to Katie Goodman. We're so happy that we helped the little amounts that we could to make that happen with the passport and all that stuff. So great to have the listeners here at the Acquired Taste kind of band together for you when it came to that, and we get to live vicariously through you, because we see your adventures in Hawaii for that one day over there. We see the videos that you're posting, and your hikes that you're doing in Australia. Good things happen to good people, and we're just super excited for you, and we hope that this will manifest into something bigger and better. Real fast, couple of quick things. San Antonio FC won this weekend. Harry's reaching out to us saying, hey, don't forget they beat Phoenix Rising 2-1.
Yeah.
And then Messi is just making it look easy for Inter Miami right now. What are your thoughts on Messi so far?
Oh, well, he's the GOAT. There's a guy, the Uber who took me to my plane in Hawaii to come back to LA. He said, what's the big deal with Messi? Like, is he really that big of a deal? And I said, yes, because he's still the best in the world at soccer. And he came to MLS. Are you kidding me? I popped off right there in the Uber. But it's he is still the freaking best. And it's evidence. Look at all his set pieces. Look at everything he does. He goes, well, what makes him so good? And I said, it's his ability to draw people in. Like, this is not a sport anymore where people are good at dribbling, right? Like, it's become more of a passing game, more of a quick 1-2 touch. Like, if you're holding the ball, you're a ball hog. But the way that Messi does it is intelligent. He does it with intention. He's not doing it because he just wants to keep holding it. He does it to pull 3-4 guys around him, and then he makes a perfect clinical pass out of that pressure, and it opens him up. And then these guys get discombobulated. He keeps moving, and he's opened up again. That's his MO. That's what he does every single time. And so you see that. You see that every single game, whether it's, a Premier League level game or MLS level game. And I love that he's still able to bring that same kind of style and anywhere he goes. And he's not really affected by it. I love the pressure he's putting on his own teammates. You've seen it a couple of times. He's yelling at people. Good for him. Just stop just coddling people. I think it's time, and I think that's something that Messi brings to the league, and that's the thing about Miami now, is they're always a team circled on the sheet. It's going to be a mental game for anybody that goes up against him, because they know they have the best player of the world on their team. And most of these teams have brand new 16, 17-year-old kids on their squad, that have come up through the academy, or new signings. Imagine being that kid going up against Leo Messi. Man, what an experience.
I had a quick question for you, Katie. I saw one of your social media posts, and I thought it was quite funny, because you were showing that you were watching the game in the arena or in the stadium, and that the fire alarms were going off and they were telling people to exit. Nobody was moving.
Yeah, I said that's the most American thing ever. Like when alarms and sirens go off and they tell everyone to evacuate and everyone just stays seated. It's like, tell me how do you know that this is a stadium full of Americans? This is how you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And one more thing, Katie, too, is that it was really nice seeing you go behind the scenes and get the opportunity to do all these things because you're one of the hardest working people that I know. So you getting these opportunities, we live vicariously through you, and we couldn't be prouder of what you're accomplishing.
oh, thank you so much. What's funny is there's so much content I haven't been able to share yet because those first 4 days I was so jet lagged that I was disoriented, foggy brain. I was hard just showing up and being there. Like I was doing good just to make it and be there and get content. I just never posted it. So I feel like you're about to see the first 4 days. Still, there's still hikes. There's a bunch of reels and videos I'm cutting together and things. But I just had to kind of throw my hands up in the air and say, hey, I'm doing my best. I am doing my absolute best. And if that means that I don't get a post out today, I'm not going to berate myself over it because that's not what it's about. It's actually not about the posting. It's about the taking in of the moment and learning and being present with people and networking and things like that. So that's why you didn't hear much from me those first couple of days because I was busy. I was there from sun up to sundown. Some days I didn't eat, things like that. Thank God I was there with one of my best friends from high school. She bought me some of the Australian version of ramen noodles. She's like, I know you're not eating. You need to eat something. You need to please eat something because you're gonna crash and burn. I'm like, I'm already crashing, dude. I've been crashing since I got here.
Somebody has a question here. Tim Gonzalez keeps on asking, how about the pizza over there in Australia? They said the picture you posted looked really good, so they want to know, what did you think of it?
The pizza was amazing going down. It was amazing. There was it was like a seafood pizza. And so there was like a literal octopus and there were mussels and clams. And it was like a tiny little alien octopus. So I'm like, hey, this is great. I'm eating it. But then my stomach was like, I think octopus was trying to climb back out. He was like, help me. So I was like, maybe it doesn't matter. Even if you are in Australia, 10 minutes from the beach, maybe nobody should eat seafood pizza, right? Maybe that's just not a thing that should happen anymore. But it was really good. And I will say, I have not felt so good physically from I think there's something a different type of gluten or something in their crust and in their bread and pizza, because once I got back to the States, I started feeling kind of like crap again when I was eating food, but I felt so I don't know. I just felt like my gut health was better. My energy levels finally normalized and came up, so I don't know. They have these sushi rolls that you can buy for $4 AUD, which is $2.50 USD.
That's cheap.
And they're just little sushi rolls. You pick them up to go, and you take 2 or 3, and you just eat your little sushi roll on the go. It's not cut up. It's so cool. They had a lot of good stuff. I ate a lot of seafood because it's right there,
I think the jealousy that people are saying on our chat line right now has nothing to do with you being in Australia or going to Hawaii. The jealousy factor was that you got away from 100-degree weather for at least a week or two.
Yes.
Guys, when I tell you summertime sadness is real, it's real. I landed. I landed and I walked out of the freaking airport at 2 a.m. and I was immediately pissed. Immediately. Yeah, I was just, not happy about it. And
I bet your hair got all
I took my dog to the bathroom that morning. And I go, oh my God, why do people live here? Why do I live here? This is horrible. I was living for that cold weather, guys. I think I'm a cold weather person. Yeah.
I think I am too. I'm an indoor dog, is what I say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go outdoors until October, but that is Katie Goodman. 6 yawns, 1 curse word. We love her.
It was a great segment out of Katie.
I'm glad I can help.
Go get some sleep.
Yes, I will.
Thanks for being with us,
Katie.
We
look forward to the content.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you know what I'm looking forward to? This Thursday, it's karaoke night over at Serenity Manor. We got to go, Joe. We got to get Carolina Teague out there, maybe Katie Goodman. we got to have at least 5, 6, 7, 8 people out there to go party with us. Karaoke night at Serenity Manor. It's every other Thursday, 14405 Old Bandera Road in Helotes, Texas. That's Old Town Helotes, man, right? Caddy corner, if you will, from Flora's Country Store. And what Serenity Manor is, it is a social events venue for all sorts of things, and they are already getting booked up right now. So if you need, like if you have a company, for example, that needs to have a Christmas party, and you're looking for a venue, someplace rustic, someplace a little bit different, check out Serenity Manor. Again, it is on Old Bandera Road, or we're showing some photos right now. There's an indoor portion, an outdoor portion. It is beautiful. Not only do you have corporate events there and parties, but also quinceañeras and sweet 16s and family reunions and wedding receptions and bridal showers and gender reveals. All of those places can be had over at Serenity Manor, 14405 Old Bandera Road. But again, this Thursday, they're going to have karaoke night. SA Curbside Eats is typically there with burgers and tacos and quesadillas. So go hang out with us over there, man. I'm going to try to be out there on Thursday. If you want to make it, reach out to me on Twitter. DM me on social media someplace, Instagram, Facebook, or wherever. Say that you want to go. If you want to go, I'll go too. All right. Serenity Manor is on 14405 Old Bandera Road. I got to sing last time, did Bobby Brown. So I'm looking forward to it. And also a big shout out to Cynthia J. Sanchez over at J. Parr Real Estate. She laughed a couple of weeks ago when I started referring to her as the badass of real estate, but that's just kind of what it is, man. Her number right there, 210-273-0748. Again, 210-273-0748. Cynthia J. Sanchez has been in business for 16 years. If you're looking to buy a house, sell a house, get a rental property, if you're looking at an Airbnb, she can make it happen. Again, she worked with USAA for so many years, so she understands the logic of those who are working at USAA, understands the military community, those who are PCSing in or out of San Antonio, also faith-based minded as well. So Cynthia J. Sanchez is a very, very good person, a very talented realtor. And if you don't believe me, go to realtor.com. Check out the reviews that she gets from her customers. Cynthia J. Sanchez, J. Parr Real Estate, 210-273-0748. I'm going to let you know it's 5 stars across the board. And don't forget also to follow MCS General Contracting. Their number on the screen right now, 210-774-9155. Now, I know MCS is known for concrete placement services. Apparently, they believe they're also, experts at fantasy football. We shall see. Chris Leha and the gang out there. But if you need some concrete placement services, they're the guys right there, man. They've been in business collectively for 30 years of experience. They've been around since 2010. But the number on the screen, 210-774-9155. Collectively, the 3 guys there, over 30 years experience in concrete placement. They do a fantastic job. Apparently, they're going to have an indoor pour sometime this week that I promised I would go out to. I'll get a little dirty. I'll go do it.
But you got to do the salt bay at the very end.
I'll do the salt
sprinkling.
bay. That's fine. I'll do it. But, if you need concrete placement services for anything like, an extended driveway, how about an extension to a concrete patio? Maybe build a basketball court, just anything like that. Build a parking lot, the driveways, all of that, foundations, slabs to homes, slabs to businesses. MCS General Contracting is the company you want to go with, 210-774-9155. Joe, we've reached the point where we're going to talk about pop culture. And I don't know if it was pop culture that we're talking about here, but it's kind of a weird story that I saw this morning. Apparently, Yolanda Saldivar's people think that she's ready to come out of jail, ready to come out of prison. Yolanda Saldivar, nearly 30 years ago, killed Tejano music when she killed Tejano superstar Selena Quintanilla. Now, I know Tejano music is still around, but it's not as big as it was back then. And Selena, I remember the day that she died. I knew of her in a way because I worked at one of her concerts one time. Like we volunteered over there. It was over at Lackland Air Force Base. So I knew of her, but I wasn't going to say that I was a fan. I mean, I became a fan of Selena after she died and after the movie. But the person that that killed her, Yolanda Saldivar, who had been stealing from the fan club, had been extorting money from her family. She was convicted of murder, not capital murder. Capital murder is when you can be put down, executed. Murder is not. And so she was sentenced to life in prison, minimum of 30 years. It's been 28 and a half years. So in 18 months, Yolanda Saldivar is going to go up in front of a parole board.
Plead her case.
Yeah. And her family, according to these reports, say that she's found God and she is very religious now and she's very remorseful about what happened. And I'm thinking about what it would be like if Yolanda Saldivar was actually let go. Because I posted a poll on Twitter and a lot of people kind of got a little bit upset saying, dude, whoever would say that she should be released from prison is crazy. But the thing about it is this, no, it's not a crazy thing. Dude, the Manson family had people released from prison. Okay, the Mansons, for crying out loud. And I have a poll asking the question. Over 160 people have voted in the last hour. Should she be jailed forever? Jailed just a little bit longer? Or should she be freed because 30 years is enough? I would expect this number, but 80% said that she should be jailed forever. 8% said a little bit longer. And 12%, essentially 1 in 8, saying 30 years is actually enough for what she did, that she paid her debt to society. Now, some people are asking the question, well, isn't she like 80 years old? No.
She's like 60 something.
She's in her early 60s right now. She's 62. So she would be 64 years old, which means that this murder happened when she was about 34, 35 years old. The reason why we think she's old is because Lupe Ontiveros played her in the movie Selena, and Lupe Ontiveros is old. You do understand that actress and her are two different people, right? Two different people.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about it is this. There's a tie to my family when it comes to this, or my extended family, because Yolanda Saldivar worked with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was a nurse, and she worked with her.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not saying that they were besties or anything like that, but still, it's kind of interesting to see that they knew each other when this all went down. Yolanda Saldivar is infamous in San Antonio, infamous in Corpus Christi. Have you ever been to her burial site there in Corpus, Joe?
Who's Selena?
Selena's, yeah.
No, I've been to the mural. I mean the mural, the kind of statue they got. Yeah.
Yeah, the statue that's over there that overlooks Corpus Christi Bay. I went with my daughter to the pay our last respects at the funeral at the cemetery.
Yeah.
And I thought that it would be quartered off like in a very secure way, and it really isn't.
You just walk right up to it.
Don't get me wrong, there's a gate around it, but it's not much when it comes to matters of security when it comes to it. And people leave flowers on a daily basis. People leave candles and they leave flowers. It's odd because you know where the statue is. It's maybe a 6-minute drive down Ocean Drive to get to the funeral home. Then you have to like weave your way through it, and you'll know where it's at because there's a bunch of people that are always there checking it out. But my daughter and I checked it out about a year ago or so. But I remember when Selena passed, I was in high school at Holmes High School as a senior. And this was what, March of 95 rather, March of 95. So I remember walking around and seeing people crying in the hallways. And I remember my friend's sister, Vanessa, was crying and crying and crying. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, who died? And like, Selena died. And she obviously had a fan base that was there. But the one thing that I always go back to, and a lot of people get mad when I say this, is, you know how like we talk about certain things that happened and everyone says that they were there? You know, we made a joke about this, about how when Victor Wembanyama, when the Spurs won the draft lottery, and you see that epic video from the Rue Pub that was displayed all over the country, all over the world, and even Wemby retweeted it and reposted it on Instagram. In San Antonio, there was maybe only 500 people in there. I was one of the 500. But like 30,000 people in San Antonio say that they were there. Okay? But when it comes to like Selena's music, how many people actually were her fans, at least at my high school? I'm sure that in the Valley and in Corpus Christi, it was bigger. And I'm sure she had a huge fan base in San Antonio too. But it wasn't like I always heard her name. You know, I heard of like Pearl Jam and Nirvana. And I bring this up to my friends right now. And over the years, I've brought this up and they go, no, we were all fans. I'm like, you may have liked a song or two, but she became even bigger than what she was after her death. I mean, posthumously, she became iconic.
Yeah.
And then the movie with Jennifer Lopez made Jennifer Lopez a huge star. But Chris Leja, F that puta Yolanda. Okay. I get that. But there is a chance she's going to get released. And it may not happen the first time she goes up for parole. May not happen the second time. But it might be Shawshank Redemption style. You know, when Morgan Freeman's character, Red, gets rejected every single time and then becomes 70 some odd years old and they let him out. It's probably going to happen. I would bet that Yolanda Saldivar will be a free woman at one point.
She will, but like everybody was saying in the comments, if she gets let out, there's no way in hell she's going to be able to live here in Texas. She's going to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, but then again, I'm looking at photos of her, and she does look a little bit different than before. She doesn't look the same as she did. Alonzo reaching out to us on YouTube saying that he was 2 years old when she died. Others are saying they took our queen. That's Chris Leja saying they took our queen. Drew Show saying, wow, dude, Jimenez is living in an alternate universe. I lived in San Antonio during the day. Selena was all over the Alamo City. She was gargantuan. No, she was big. I'm not saying that she wasn't. I'm not saying that she became famous because of her death. I'm saying that she became even more famous after her death.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm not saying that she wasn't a star. Dude, Drew, I worked a concert that she was at. Okay. I went to a concert of hers. And, you know, handful of thousand people there, 4,000 or 5,000 people there. So obviously she had a fan base. I'm not going to say that she was a nobody.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that she became bigger than life as time went on. Now, don't get me wrong. She also was able to pack the the Astrodome, rather.
Yeah.
She was able to do all that stuff, and it was part of the festivals and whatnot. She was iconic to certain parts of town, but then became more universal after the death. That's what I'm saying. The places that the people that weren't listening to her, she went from being big to massive, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, with the release of her English album, I think it's really what put her on the map. People started really noticing her.
Yeah, the Dreaming of You album.
Yeah, but the thing that really struck a chord between her, Selena, and her fans is the connection. They felt connected to her because of the way she was easily accessible to the fans. She would go up and say hi, take pictures, autographs.
Yeah.
She was very much about her people, and about the fans and the connection that they had.
It was a humbleness that she had.
Yeah, it was a connection that they had with her because a lot of the things that people go through in the Mexican culture, Latino culture, she goes through that too, and she was able to sing about that and her songs and whatnot. And I think it was that special connection between her and the fans that really made her this bigger than life character. And, it really shows, how sweet and humble and, how giving she was of herself.
She had her boutique on Broadway. She also had one in Corpus Christi as well. So she belongs to two cities in many ways. She belongs to Corpus Christi because obviously that's her hometown and that's where she lived and where she was raised. But to some extent, San Antonio lays claim to her as well. The ties that she had to San Antonio and the industry over here. She was very, very talented. Hanover Fist reminds us that she was primed for a crossover. And if you think about what happened in the late 90s, the crossover of Ricky Martin, of Jennifer Lopez, you can even say that it started before that with Gloria Estefan, right? And then you had John Cicada. So you had that Miami crossover, right? Which is Cicada, Gloria Estefan, and then you had Ricky Martin, right? Coming in from Puerto Rico through Miami. Then you had the New York Latinos in out there. Then you have the West Coast side as well. But the crossover from Texas, that was supposed to be Selena.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. Very, very, very tragic. Very, very tragic. But it's been 28 and a half years since she passed away. But the idea that Yolanda Saldivar will be a free woman at some point, I think people need to get around to that idea because it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen sooner or later, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with her because I bet you anything what's going to happen if she is released in the near future, there's going to be a lot of demand for her side of the story, meaning she's going to be released.
Right.
And how is the media going to spin that?
Yeah. And will there be a 60 Minutes or a 2020
exactly
that goes along with that? Selena, very much big on the South Side and the West Side in 95, become 97, 98 later on. The point I was trying to make was she became big in the North Side and the East Side, became more of a universal thing. She was big, but then became massive. Real fast, Drew reached out and says, I was at the Gold's Gym across from Ingram Park Mall next to Joe's Volcano when the news broke about her death. It was on every TV in the place. Bodybuilders and powerlifters were teary-eyed back in 1995. Like I said, I was walking the halls at Holmes High School and I saw a handful of girls crying. So it touched a lot of people. I've become a fan after the fact. I mean, I knew a few of her songs beforehand, but she was somebody that was like, oh, I know that song. I know that song. But dude, you can't go to a dance here in San Antonio. You can't go to a wedding here in San Antonio without hearing not just one song, but 2, 3, like a freaking medley of Selena.
Yeah. Even during Fiesta.
During Fiesta, it'll never die.
No.
It'll never die. This is, she is our Elvis. She's the Latino Elvis.
Yeah. You hear Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, everybody starts to smile and starts yelling and screaming.
Dude, I go to my daughter's elementary school for their school dances. They play Selena. The kids run onto the dance floor. And these are kids that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. So they'll be listening to it in their 20s and 30s. So I wasn't trying to diminish Selena at all. Point I'm trying to make is that she became even more massive and more well-known after her death than she was while she was alive.
Yeah.
Yolanda Saldivar, she wants out. She wants out. Hey, thank you again for everyone for watching today. Again, subscribe to us. Hit the like button on the way out the door there on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Spread the word. Spread the word. Lots of comments about Selena already, but we got to get going, baby. We got to get going. Hey, real fast, if you want to tip the dealer, what is it called again? Buy us a coffee.
Buy us a beer.
Buy us a beer. Go to buymeacoffee.com/acquired taste. Buy us a beer if you want to tip us. Thank us for what we do. Going to be honest with you. This week's Buy Me a Coffee is going Buy Us a Beer rather, is going all to Joe, man. Joe's doing all the heavy lifting. I'm just over here just hosting from time to time. No, but it's been fun. Thank you for all the support out there. Spread the word. And also, the Fantasy Gods, don't forget to watch this past Sunday's episode. Hasn't gotten old. It's not stale at all. Fantasy Gods, Sundays from 11 to noon. And then shows number 3 and 4 are on the horizon. Network is taking shape. Very nice, man. Everybody have a great day out there. Be safe out on the roads. See you guys tomorrow.